everyone, welcome to episode 7 of Swami Says. On last week's episode, we covered you trust, expect to bust, the importance of due diligence, and whether a business plan is necessary or not. On this week's episode, we're going to be talking about credit, how to build your credit, what types of different options you have, and also the repercussions of one-time expenses and how to limit them as much as you can. For the first small business tip, building your credit. Quick 1-minute summary on that. Basically, when I first started doing business, and I pleaded and begged my parents to take care of this for me in terms of building my credit, but they never really took it seriously. And what I discovered while running the business is definitely you need your credit built if you're trying to expand at a rapid pace. And it's something that really wasn't taught in school in terms of the importance of it and the variety of ways you can go about doing it. So one big thing with credit, and we're going to talk about this later in the episode, is one-time expenses. A lot of the time, basically, when you're running a business straight on cash, one-time expenses such as, you have to pay some business filing fee that you're only going to pay once. These type of things can be put on a credit card and paid over time instead of incurring those expenses right away and it being a really big cash deduction out of your total sum if you're running the business on straight cash. So it's a really big disadvantage to not build your credit, and it's something that needs to be emphasized to all new young small business owners. Is you need to get on that before you start the business, so it'll provide some advantages. When you get to expansion, you'll have additional capital for it. How to build your credit, the second small business tip. For this one, I tried to look into this process in depth on Google and did a decent amount of research, and really it's not as self-explanatory as people claim it is. So what I discovered is, and not what I discovered, what I ended up doing is there's two types of credit cards, secured and unsecured. Most of you guys probably already know this, but with the secured credit card, which is what you want to go for if you have no idea what the hell you're doing and you need to build your credit. Secured credit card is essentially something where the limit is $250 to $500 on the credit card. And before you get to the unsecured mark, you need to essentially build up the secured credit card in terms of your base credit for at least a year. And once you get past that year, then you can get higher limits and you can transact more on your credit card. But one of the biggest things is knowing how to go about building your credit, and especially if you have no knowledge of it, just go to the bank and tell them you want to open up a secured credit card. You know nothing about credit cards, and it should be something that they do for you ASAP. There's no credit check that they have to do prior, like if you're opening up an unsecured line where they're gonna have to check how many assets you have. They're gonna have to evaluate you. With a secured credit card, there's no evaluation, so go in, tell them that's what you want, and it'll be a pretty easy process. One quick thing to look for in terms of building your credit is, for example, there's a lot of minor rules that people don't know about. If you use 30% or more of your credit limit, then that's something that hurts your credit score a ridiculous amount. So right now, actually, that's happening to me because I am building the secured credit card. I'm in like my 7th or 8th month, but I keep on using more than, or not more, but pretty high up to the limit in terms of $500. And at some level, that could be a case for me after the year in terms of me needing an unsecured credit line is I'm using too much of the ratio. But in the beginning, don't use 30% or more. We're gonna provide a list of stipulations in terms of credit and what things to look out for. Also describe the process a little bit more in depth within one of the links in the description of the video, and probably gonna be on my blog, trozandani.com. For the third small business tip, one-time expenses. So we're gonna make this real quick. One-time expenses will kill you, and there's gonna be a ton of them, and you are not gonna be able to think of them prior to starting the business. For an example, one is when I first started the College Station branch, College Station, Texas, of Zuda Delivery. We had to pay the Texas Secretary of State about $750 for the basically certificate to establish a foreign limited liability company. And don't worry about what all that means. Just know that that $750 check that I was writing to start that business down there, I'm not making any profits off that money. And that's an expense that is irregular to the normal or routine expenses that I have with my business. So stuff like this, you're not gonna be able to anticipate. And ensure, one of the biggest damn things is you have additional capital within 12 months of starting your business. One of the things we talked about in preceding episodes. But something that can alleviate your one-time expenses is what I told you earlier, building your credit and doing it quick and keeping a good credit score as well. So that's all for episode 7 of Swami Says. On next week's episode, we're going to be talking about never burning a bridge, writing everything down, and the importance of loving yourself. That's that. Over and out.